So the GoPro Hero 12 Black was just announced this morning. All of these YouTubers that got free cameras are still under embargo, so they cannot compare them to any other cameras, including the GoPro Hero 11. Since I'm not one of those guys, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about it in this video. My honest opinion. What's up everybody, my name is Dan, welcome to Freely Roaming. If you're new around here, you'll find videos all about tips and tricks of full-time vehicle-based traveling. Whether it is van life, overlanding, or RVing, we spent thousands of nights wild camping on our travels. So you would also find videos on how to thrive while living off the grid. Lastly, I'd love to share with you my decades-long experience in content creation as an adventure travel creator. My family and I have been doing exactly that since 2008. And we started this channel to share with you all that we've learned during that time. If you're interested, you can find our travel vlogs at youtube.com/mollymish. So the GoPro Hero 12 was just released this morning. There are a bunch of videos out now with people who have experience in the last few weeks playing with this camera. However, they're under embargo, so they're not allowed to really share their honest opinion. Even though I don't have one of these cameras in my hand, but what it does let me do is do all the research that I can. I've watched a bunch of these videos. I've looked at all the specs between all the cameras. That includes GoPro Hero 12, GoPro Hero 11, and the Osmo Action 4, which I do own. Their embargo prevents them from sharing exactly how they feel, but that's not the case for me. From what I've learned, I'm going to tell you all there is to know about the GoPro Hero 12. What's new, what's not new, what's wrong with it, and my personal honest opinion on whether or not this camera is worth buying. So first, let's start with what is actually new in the GoPro Hero 12. Just by looking at the camera, it looks virtually identical to the GoPro Hero 11. Aesthetically, they changed sort of the visual texture of the camera externally. Now there are these little blue flakes that are embedded into the camera body itself. It's kind of a cool look, but it doesn't actually do anything. One thing that's new is that now 10-bit video is available for all modes that are in 4K or higher. In the GoPro Hero 11, 10-bit was not available in any modes over 60 FPS. Battery life has also been improved in the GoPro Hero 12. They claim to have 155 minutes of battery life, but that's just for one specific video mode. The Hero 12 will give you 155 minutes of claimed recording time in 1080p 30 FPS. In 4K 30, it goes down to 102 minutes. That's compared to the Osmo Action 4 that can record 4K 30 up to 150 minutes. So they still got a little ways to go. Another capability they added is the ability to connect to headsets, wireless headsets via Bluetooth. Things like Apple AirPods, presumably the Galaxy Buds are going to be compatible with using as a microphone. I feel like this is not quite enough because quality from these Bluetooth headsets are just not very good when it comes to using it as a microphone. The next new thing is Hypersmooth version 6. Now, Hypersmooth and Rocksteady on the Osmo Action side has gotten so good in the previous version, I don't really know, and I think most of us can't really even tell what Hypersmooth version 6 is different from Hypersmooth version 5. This seems like just a very incremental improvement, if anything at all. Another thing now that they have is a 1/4-20 female thread in between those folding fingers on the bottom of the camera. Now what people really wanted is for them to kind of upgrade this folding fingers so that the traditional GoPro style mounting system can be retired and replace it with something that's more like the magnetic mount and the Osmo Action, which everybody loves. But I think that's easier said than done. They're sort of committed to this mounting system. By adding a 1/4-20 thread on the bottom of the camera does allow you to add a little bit more capability to this camera, but it doesn't feel like a huge improvement. Another new feature is that now there's ability to synchronize timecode across multiple cameras using a QR code. I think this is pretty cool, but it's probably not a feature that consumers will use very much. GoPros are pretty popular with professional productions that want to put small cameras in small spaces. So by being able to synchronize timecode, that's a pretty cool feature. But like I said, it's not something that regular consumers will take advantage of very much. There's also a new max lens mod option that you can buy. This is an accessory that'll increase your field of view from 156 degrees to 177 degrees. Personally, I don't like the super wide view. That's because I don't really use my action camera for action sports activities. I use it to more record day-to-day stuff. I use it to record travel vlogs. But GoPro has this pedigree of being embedded into action sports. So in places where you're doing extreme sports like heli skiing or riding a vert ramp on a skateboard and stuff like that, having an even wider field of view might be useful for you. But from what I can tell, it makes the image really distorted on the edges. They've also introduced an HDR mode. And this HDR mode, I feel like it is their answer to the low light capabilities of the GoPro Hero 11 and Hero 12 sensor, because the sensor remains unchanged. It is still the 1/1.9 inch sensor at 27 megapixels. If you watch one of my other videos, you would know that 1/1.9 inch sensor at 27 megapixels makes individual pixels really small. So the low light capability on these GoPros is not natively very good. But using things like HDR mode, which means that the camera will take rapid successions of multiple exposures, and using the onboard processing power to process the image so that you have very high dynamic range across light areas and dark areas of your image, is one way to be able to get good low light capability. But keep in mind that this is a baked in look. This is not something that you will easily be able to remove or modify later. Now let's talk about things that didn't change between the GoPro 11 and GoPro 12. First of all, like I already mentioned, the form factor remains pretty much exactly the same. Dimensions, weight, and all of that remains the same. So you can still use all of your accessories as far as I can tell. The sensor also didn't change. It is still the 1/1.9 inch sensor with 27 megapixels. It is a 8:7 aspect ratio capable of shooting 5.3K open gate video. This is kind of unfortunate because there's been a lot of rumors about them coming out with the GoPro Hero 12 with a much bigger sensor. There was even talk about them coming out with a camera with a 1-inch sensor. I personally didn't think that was going to happen because by having a bigger sensor, you're changing your minimum focusing distance of the camera. And because action cameras don't have motorized focusing systems, the focus has to be fixed. The bigger the sensor gets, the longer the focusing distance is going to be, so it's not going to be nearly as versatile. I was hoping, however, that they would increase that sensor size by just a little bit so that they can compete against the Osmo Action 4 that's got a bigger sensor and also much bigger pixels so that it has really good low light. GoPro doesn't seem to be really concerned with low light from what I can tell. In all of the marketing material, everything that they shot in those videos are outdoors during the day, really bright light, and it's all extreme action sports shots. After all, it is an action camera. The folding fingers remain the same. That did not change, even though between those fingers there is now a 1/4-20 thread. And there is still no touchscreen capability in that front screen. So if you want to make any changes, you have to turn that camera around to make changes on the main screen in the back. And even though now it's got the Bluetooth capability for connecting to things like AirPods, they still use a proprietary audio adapter if you want to use wired microphones. Meaning you have to buy the media mod, or you have to buy their dongle that allows you to adapt a 3.5mm jack. That's unfortunate because I really like the Osmo Action 4's way of being able to do this, which is just using standard USB-C and allowing any adapter that works with computers and phones to work on the camera. I feel like GoPro really should be going in that direction instead. But of course that'll eat into the sale of their media mod, so they're probably not going to do that. Okay, so let me give you some more of my opinions about what I think about this update. It seems to me that the GoPro Hero 12 is mostly software updates and optimizations. And perhaps a lot of these could have even been done with existing software updates to the GoPro Hero 11. Things like making it work more efficiently so battery life can be longer, or things like 10-bit video for high frame rate modes, because they're still using the same GP2 processor they announced back in 2021 with the GoPro 10. There is no new processor, so the existing processor between the 11 and the 12 is identical. And because of that and the same sensor, it seems like a lot of these optimizations could have easily been done with a firmware upgrade. Using this new HDR feature, which is taking multiple exposures and stitching them together on the fly into your video, that's going to add more overhead to this GP2 processor. They solved a lot of problems with the GP2 processor when it comes to the UI lag that has plagued GoPro over the years. Now they're adding more features, adding more functionality for this GP2 processor to do, so I'm really hoping that the lag doesn't become worse as it has in the past. It seems to me that GoPro is trying to appeal to both the professional users and the casual consumers using the same camera. Because features like the HDR mode, also these creative modes like light painting or star trails, these are modes that professionals wouldn't necessarily use, but they're fun little tools for consumer users to use. And also things like the Bluetooth headset. There's no way a professional user is going to use a pair of AirPods for their dedicated audio. But they're also adding professional features like Timecode Synch and GP log for a flat image profile. It seems to me that maybe it's time for GoPro to just announce another camera that's more geared towards professional users. Because they have this 27 megapixel sensor, it is difficult for them to come out with a new sensor that has less megapixels, because it would appear like the company is going backwards in their technology. What they should do instead is do what sort of Sony has done with the A7 line. The Alpha 7S line of cameras has a 12 megapixel sensor, but the pixels are much bigger, so it has great low light and has become a super popular camera for professional users. It seems that GoPro might want to do the same thing to appeal to more professional users that want better low light by introducing a larger sensor and lower megapixels. Because currently, the 1/1.9-inch sensor with 27 megapixels, that's the limitation to give professional users more latitude when it comes to color grading and better low light performance. In conclusion, I feel like the GoPro Hero 12 is not a revolutionary upgrade at all. It is just an evolution on the existing GoPro Hero 11. If you already have the GoPro Hero 11, it is probably not a worthwhile upgrade. Hardly any of the physical components have been updated. In my mind, the Osmo Action 4 upgrade from the Osmo Action 3 was much more revolutionary in that they increased the size of the sensor. So what do you guys think? Have you guys checked out any videos on the GoPro Hero 12 yet? Are you considering upgrading to it? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.